What's up, Algebra 2? Here we are with 6.7, day 1. We're working on solving with square roots. Okay, we're pretty much going to have just a real short process here. It's going to be the same process every time. Alright, so step 1 is we're going to be isolating the root. So you want to get the root by itself first. Alright, so in our example over here, get the root by itself. We have the square root of x plus 2 plus 4 equals 7. So to get the square root by itself, we need to get rid of the plus 4. So minus 4 square root of x plus 2 equals 3. Okay, we've got the square root by itself. Alright, now we're going to do the inverse, or the opposite, undo the square root. Okay, so cancel out the square root. So in this case, it's a square root, so you're going to square both sides. Alright, so the square and the square root cancel out. Left side just has x plus 2. Right side, we got 3 squared, that's 9. Last step, solve for x. And we'll add a 4th step. Check your answer. Okay, so we're going to subtract 2. X is lucky number 7. Alright, so let's double check this to make sure it works. 7 plus 2 is 9. Square root of 9, 3. 3 plus 4, 7. Got it. Alright. For the most part, if you get I don't want to say a nice number every time because it won't always be a nice number, but if it looks reasonable, it's probably going to work unless you made a little mistake in here. Now, sometimes when we get 2 square root signs in the same problem, then we have a chance that we will have no solution. Alright? So when you have 2 square roots at the same time, you want to get the biggest one, the one that has the most stuff in it, by itself. Okay? So that was already done for us. Get the biggest one, the one that has the most stuff inside of it, get that one by itself. And now we're going to square both sides. Pretty nice over here. This is just going to be x minus 12. Okay? Now, this is not all that nice over here. Because no, it's not just square this one, square this one. This is that whole group times itself. So we got to go 2 minus the square root of x, 2 minus the square root of x, and go through our FOIL process. Okay, so we got 2 times 2, 4, 2 times negative square root of x. We'll have negative 2 square root of x. Then we take this one to both. Another negative square root of x times 2, that's another 2 square root of x. Negative times the negative is a positive square root of x times square root of x. It means square root of x squared. And we know the square roots and squareds cancel out. So we're going to have 4 minus 4 square roots of x plus x. Alright, we'll drop this down. And now we're back to our first process here of getting the square root by itself. Okay? Let's get the square root by itself. So we're going to minus x. Let's minus 4. So those cancel over here. X minus x cancels out. Negative 12, negative 4. We got negative 16 equals negative 4 square root of x. That looked like it was going to be pretty scary. Then all the stuff canceled out. Not too bad so far. Let's see what else we can do. We're going to divide by negative 4. Negative over negative, positive 4 equals square root of x. Okay, get the square root by itself. So we're going to get rid of that. It's a square root, so we're going to square both sides. One of these times here, you're going to get a different one. A cube root or a fourth root. And we're going to come up with 16 equals x. Alright? Now, when we have the two square roots to start with, these are the types of equations where you're going to run into some errors, some problems where the answer won't work. Because you're doing a lot of square roots and squaring. Okay, and when you square stuff, it could have gone from a negative to a positive. Or when you square root stuff, okay, we have some chances there where we lose some sign change properties. Alright, so let's test it out. Let's put it in. 16 minus 12 square root. And then if I have 2 minus the square root of 16. Those are my two sides of the equation. Well, 16 minus 12 is 4. Square root of 4 is 2. 16, square root of 16 is 4. 2 minus 4 is negative 2. Okay, so we had a negative sign issue in there somewhere. We did not get the same answer. Alright, so no solution. No solution. All that work for nothing. Okay? Think about what this would look like if we graphed these two. It wasn't that long ago we were graphing square roots. This is just x minus 12, the square root over it. So we know this is going to slide 12 to the right. And then up and out like that. This is 2 minus the square root of x, or we could think of that as the negative square root of x plus 2. So that would have just been bumped up to negative square root of x. We're going to come down like that. Alright, so this is already going to be underneath the x-axis before we get even close to 12. These two would never cross. Alright, so we would not have any common points, so that would be no solution. That's why we're getting the no solution there. Alright. Let's go ahead and hit pause for about 5 minutes. Let's go ahead and hit pause for 5 minutes or so and let you guys work on those two on the top on your own. This is very similar to the first one that we just did. This is very similar to the second one we just did. Go ahead and hit pause for 5 minutes. Alright, welcome back. Let's see how we did. Let's see how we did. So with our first one over here on the left, okay, we're going to get the square root by itself first. We're going to add 3 over. Then we square both sides because it's a square root. So we're going to square both sides. X minus 2 equals 36. Add the 2. X equals 38. Test it out. 38 minus 2, 36. Square root of 36, 6. 6 minus 3, 3. Bingo. Second side. Again, the bigger square root was already by itself, and you can kind of see my sketches already. You got an idea what's going to happen. This is slid 15 to the right and going up, and this one's 3 up and going down. Probably not going to cross, but with square root, or not square root, with square, we get x minus 15 here. We FOIL this out, we get 9 minus 6 radical x plus x. Okay? Looks like I went a little backwards here this time, so I subtracted x from this side, and I added 15 to both sides, and moved this one over. Either way, okay, we're going to get 6 radical x equals 24, or you probably have negative 6 radical x equals negative 24. Alright, either way, we're going to come down to the square root of x equals 4, and we're going to get x equals 16. If we put that 16 back in, 16 minus 15, okay, it's going to be 1. Square root of 1 is 1. 3 minus the square root of 16. Okay, square root of 16 is 4. 3 minus 4, negative 1. We'd be getting 1 equals negative 1. Not going to work. Okay? So, if you need to see that some more, again, I kind of went backwards on this one. I canceled out this side, and then brought that over as a positive 6 radical x. I went a little backwards from the last one. If you need to see those a little bit longer, you can go and hit pause there on your own. Otherwise, we are moving on. Alright, I told you we were going to get one that was different eventually. So that's to the 1/3 power, or that would be the same as a cube root. Okay, so still the same process. Get this part by itself. So we need a minus 1. So we got 3x plus 2 to the 1/3 equals negative 1. Okay, now we got to undo the 1/3, or the cube root. Okay, we undo the cube root by cubing to the 3rd power. Those cancel out. 3x plus 2 equals negative 1 to the 3rd power. Negative 1 times negative 1, positive 1. Times the 3rd negative 1, back to negative 1. Okay, subtract our 2. Divide by 3. Negative 1. Test it out. 3 times negative 1, negative 3, plus 2, negative 1. Cube root of negative 1. We can't do square roots of negative 1, but we can do a cube root. What times itself 3 times in a row gets you negative 1? Well, we just did that down here. We know it's negative 1. Negative 1 times itself 3 times. Negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1. Should be negative 1, so doing the cube root of negative 1 is negative 1. Plus 1, 0. Perfect. That's what we wanted to see. Alright, so that's what you're going to be doing with the first part of the assignment today. Okay, I got down for you that we got page 433, 23 through 41. Don't do number 35. Alright, so you should have plenty of time to get that done for you. You're off and running. Good luck.